think, we're in a kind of a situation now, and you've heard me talk about this before, that in the last 10, 15 years, we've seen the workload or proposed workload in anticipation of growth in nuclear energy go up and down and up and down. Now, it was Reagan that said, there's nothing closer to life eternal on the face of this earth than a government agency once formed. Well, the same thing is true with the expansion of an agency. And when the workload of this agency, it looked like it was going to be going up, and so we prepared for that, and then it didn't happen. And there are a lot of political reasons why it didn't happen. I'm thankful that I think we've overcome those now. In the year 2000, the NRC got its work done with 22,800 people and $470 million. Now, with 3,300 people and twice the amount of money, $905 million, it oversees 6 fewer reactors, half as many as the materials and licenses and the reviews anticipated. So, I guess the question is, and the GAO commented on this, they said by 2011, however, it had become clear that the projected growth had not materialized. NRC's budget and its regulatory fees, however, have not declined since that time. So what is your thought on that? I know a lot of people around this, on this side of the table are thinking, well, it's really going to be the stakeholders are going to be paying for this more than just government. But nonetheless, that is a fact that we have anticipated the growth, and of course it didn't happen, and yet government just grew. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I agree with your sentiment, Senator. We do understand why the NRC staffed up. They did staff up significantly, as you suggest. And if you look at the details for the bill, the cap is capping it at a 2015 level, which we think is a high watermark, if you will. So more than sufficient for the agency.
Well, yeah, no, I wasn't really referring just to this bill. I'm just saying that this is history now. This has happened, and it's something that we didn't shrink any when our workload was considerably reduced, and in the past. Now, I am concerned about the caps, and that was addressed by the chairman in his questions. And I think it's a good idea to go ahead and get on record where we are going to be at that time, where we anticipate being. Do you think that under 512 that the caps are realistic, and want to get on record now and say that we are going to be able to do it within those caps?
Absolutely. I think that there is clearly room for the agency to be more efficient than it is today. They've done some work in their Project AIM. I would say this bill institutionalizes some of the thinking that they're doing under Project AIM, and I think the caps within the bill are clearly achievable.
Okay, that's good. That's good to hear, and we'll get that on the record. You know, as we watch, I mentioned in my opening statement the concern I have over the fact that we're not operating in a vacuum. There are other countries that are maybe even passing us up. I'd like to have anyone on of the witnesses respond to where do you think we are right now with China and Russia? Why don't we start with
Yes, I'll start with that. I would tell you that there's 60 reactors being built around the world today, and 2/3 of those reactors are being built by Chinese and Russian design. And I think that is a significant concern that we in the United States to take a look at the leadership level that we want to play in a world conversation relative to nuclear. It's not only that we have the technology and the best designs, we have the best standards on how to operate these reactors. And when you get engaged in the conversation about these reactors being operated in other countries, those standards and those non-proliferation requirements go with it. And that is something that is significant, should be very significant to us.
Yeah. Anyone else want to comment on that as to where we are with our competition? Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to add also that in, for instance, China, they are pursuing every kind of advanced reactor in R&D and hopefully from their point of view to a demonstration plant. Yeah. And the challenge with this is that the governments, for instance, Japan also, are sponsoring the research that's being done. So it's very difficult to compete at a fair level.
Yeah, that's a good comment. Any other comments on that?
Yes, I appreciate the opportunity. I do agree with Ms. Korsnick that domestic U.S. standards, including NRC regulations, are the gold standard. And that's why we believe it's very important to maintain those standards and not engage in a race to the bottom. So, if, Russia and China, Russia's the country that brought us Chernobyl, and my understanding is that China's own regulatory process, including the process for qualifying fuel, is not nearly as rigorous as the United States. So, I think we need to maintain those standards, and that's the best selling point we would have.
I think that's good, and I don't want to race to the bottom either, but I think it's important for us to talk about the fact that there's competition out there, and other countries are doing things more aggressively than we are, and so I think we're all in agreement on that. Senator Whitehouse?